Oh!
I don't want to be an almost. Sometimes it feels like people look at me and they're like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You have so much potential. But it feels like I've been stuck in that potential phase for so long. It's like knowing that you can be so much better. Everybody tells you that you can be so much better. But every time you look at yourself, all you see is an imposter. Because if I can, why does it feel like I can't, even when I know that I can? And I've spent so much time trying to figure this out, and here's something I've learned.
Can you define what you have an innate ability for and match that with what you're willing to hustle to get? Yeah. Sometimes we have an innate ability, but we don't want to work for it and we take it for granted. And we end up doing something that may work, may pay the bills, may get us by day to day, but we don't really like it. We have trouble finding a way to enjoy it. Definitely don't love it. And then sometimes we don't know what our innate ability is and we're hustling and working our tail off and breaking a sweat to do something that we really aren't that good at on an innate level. And that's a good challenge. And you can work and become good at something that you don't have an innate ability for, but if you can match those two, what do you have an innate ability to do? Because what we have an innate ability to do, when we do that well, we do kind of enjoy it.
And for me, I think that's the fear. The fear of having the capacity to do so much, but settling for less. And for people who are talented, for people with so much potential, one thing I've learned is that your comfort zone is a little different from other people's comfort zones. And here's what I mean. Because you have so much talent, you are usually an high achiever, somebody who does great things, right? And compared to other people, people look at you and you're like, oh my God, that's great, you're achieving so much. And then you might be deluded to thinking, yes, I'm living up to my potential. But usually, you're probably comfortable in that space, right? Because you're seeing yourself through the lens of other people's, capabilities or innate abilities. But one thing I've recently learned after I, took a step back and did a bit of retrospection is that it's very, very easy to assume that, I'm doing great. I'm not comfortable. I'm not in my comfort zone. But after a bit of introspection, I realized I was wrong. And it turns out that there's a term for that. It's called fundamental inertia.
There's a fundamental inertia in a lot of us. It's easy to have an idea. It takes a bit of, I remember when I was injured in table tennis and, I wasn't practicing, I wasn't doing anything, and I was sat at home. Just posting a letter felt like an unbelievably tough thing to do. I didn't give you a reason to stay. Don't walk away.
So how do I overcome fundamental inertia? To be honest, when I started reading about this, I thought that I was going to come up with a list of 20 things I could do to, to change my life or to avoid being an almost. And if you're somebody like me, if I'm being honest with you, there is nothing that you can do to make things better that you don't already know. Like, it's the most basic things like, don't procrastinate, an idea is just an idea if you don't do anything about it. Strive for better. It's just the most basic things, like show up when you have to show up, push yourself to be better, don't settle. And one thing that I've come to realize is that, and this is something I've been telling myself for the past few weeks now, is that everybody can dream, everybody can daydream, everybody can have, great ideas or aspirations, but I don't want to look back, a few years from now and say that, I could have been so much more, right? And deep down, I know that I can, or I could be so much more. And I don't want to sit around and not do anything about that. I'm sorry if you were expecting something grand, something great, something, something life-changing, but there isn't. And I've read a lot about this, and to be honest, everything all comes down to the same, advice, introspect, recognize your innate abilities. Once you find what you're good at without stressing so much, then do something about it. Make sure you're not stuck in a comfort zone. Make sure you don't view your achievement through the lens of other people, but view it through the lens of, what you think you should be doing or you can do. Like, it's the everyday advice. And I think that the difference between, people who end up being an almost or being almosts and people who live up to achieve their potential is that they just keep introspecting at every point and keep telling themselves that, I could be so much more. And when you truly do something that, you've lived up to your potential, you're like, yes, this is something I'm capable of doing and I've done it, I think that you would know, because there are points in my life where I've actually done certain things. I'm like, this is good work, this is solid work. And there are times where, you're like, okay, this could be so much better, right? And so yeah, and that's something I've been thinking about lately. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you see, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share with people. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and see you next week. Thanks.